Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sri Satarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from the Bhagavad-Gita, as it is continuation of the 12th chapter, devotional service, text number 10. Abhyasepi asamartosi madkarma paramo bhava mad artam api karmani kurvan siddhim abhyapsyasi. Word for word meaning: abhyase, in practice; api, even if; asamartha, unable; asi, you are; mat karma, my work; parama, dedicated to; bhava, become; mat artam, for my sake; api, even; karmani, work; kurvan, performing; siddhim, perfection; abhapyasi, you will achieve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you cannot practice the regulations of bhakti-yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Purport. One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of bhakti yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in propagation of Krishna consciousness, and they require help. So, even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of bhakti yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand. So the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is a spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness, or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport, chapter 12, devotional service of the Bhagavad-Gita, text number 10. Amagyanam timirandasya gyanana salakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jita Parakamala Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Shra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Abhyasipi asamartosi mat karma paramo bhava mat artam api karmani kurbham siddhim bhapyasi. So this is the verse explaining how, compared to the last two verses, the same chapter, that if one cannot dedicate his mind, one cannot fix his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engaging one's intelligence unto the Supreme Lord, and also if one cannot somehow follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, then one can practice try to work for Krishna. By doing so, one will ultimately come to the perfectional stage, samsiddhim, or kurvan siddhim. By performing this work or activities specially meant to please the Supreme Lord, because devotional service means activities whereby meant to please the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Unlike the materialists, they also work, but their work is meant for their own sense enjoyment. They don't work for the boss. They work for the money so that they'll be able to fulfill their material desires. The devotees, on the other hand, they work. Prabhupada gave an example. There's like two personalities, one is a devotee and one is a materialist. They work, they do the same job. They go 9 to 5. Both of them could be traveling for long length of time. It's like Papa gave an example in Mumbai. Some of them, they have to get up really early in the morning, go to job, takes 2 hours to go and 2 hours to come back. But then there is a difference because the materialists will work for themselves. They don't work to please the boss. They work so that they'll get the money. They'll get the paycheck. If they don't get their paycheck, they will never work. The devotee who's a regular, let's say, going to office also or having a job, a 9 to 5 job, he may go to work, but his main purpose is that the results of his activities by the end of the month or in the middle of the month is that he will give it to Krishna to support Krishna's projects or devotees, to help devotees. He will give donation. So this is why called Niskama Karma Yoga, working for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, because he cannot, unlike those devotees who are, let's say, full-time, they live in an ashram, or those who live nearby also and they practice Krishna consciousness. So they follow a certain timings or schedule. They do their sadhana. They have more time to spend in this way, and some of them have more time also in studying, cultivating their knowledge, studying the Bhagavad-Gita. But they will have the same result because ultimately they become purified, and eventually, after some time, they will also be able to follow the rules and regulations. Even if one is not following rules and regulations, but somehow also is sympathetic to the Krishna consciousness movement, and he will give a big chunk of his money, income, towards propagating Krishna consciousness. He will also, after some time, reach final goal, becoming Krishna conscious, because Krishna will give him more and more intelligence in order for him to use whatever opulence, whatever wealth he will receive from Krishna. And I know some of these rich people. Now, one may not have to be rich. He doesn't have to be rich to give to Krishna. Krishna sees more of what you're keeping than what you are giving. I know some devotees, they may not be able to do their sadhana properly, but then they work and they live very simple, but they have a good heart. They have a good heart. Good heart means heart of gold. They know, they're very, very concerned. And he will give wholeheartedly to the cause, for a good cause, Krishna conscious wise. Even rich people I know also, their house looked like a temple, and they will also give for a good cause to the temple. It's like this temple of Vedic planetarium is being built. Some of them, they pledge hundreds and thousands of dollars, lakhs and lakhs of rupees. But they may look like ordinary worker also. They may not be full-time devotees, but they know it is going to help for a good cause so that the glories of Krishna consciousness movement will be spread wide all over the world. And then they try their best to do it. So, yes, devotional service means to please the Supreme Lord. And one may not be able to have like that full-time participation, but knowingly in one's heart, one knows that whatever one has, any facilities that one acquired due to previous karma, any Lakshmi that one can give, he will try his very best to do so. So in this way, he will also be able to follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga afterwards. So it's like a gradual thing. It's like following this, what one will do. Because working and doing it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord is very, very important. It's like some of them, they can dedicate some of their time. We have many projects like gardens for Krishna, flowers for Krishna. One can help some work for that, spend some of their time, whatever time they can give, they will do. Some even help in the temple, cleaning the temple. Some of them, they can help it's like here we have cows. One can come and help in the cows, cleaning up, feeding them. There's so many projects in our movement whereby one can easily adapt and help accordingly towards one's time and energy. So if one is sympathetic, as Prabhupada says here, one should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There's so many engagements in our movement. Work has to be done. What's that? Yajñartat karmano nyatrat lokoyam karma bandana tad artam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. Work has to be done as a sacrifice towards Lord Vishnu. If one works like this, then he becomes free. He becomes detached from the result of his activities, and one becomes purified. His work becomes purified, and therefore he becomes a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Yajñatat karmano nyatra. Then one's work will bind one if he only works for his own benefit. This is the formula of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually. This everything that one wants to start, say you want to start a business, you need a land, you need a capital, you need planning, organization, and you need manpower. You cannot become successful or you cannot start anything without those four elements. So similarly, in our Krishna consciousness movement, we require all of this in order to propagate Krishna consciousness more and more, and that people will be able to get benefited. Some people, yes, we have so many offers of land. And usually, even when Srila Prabhupada was still around, many are offering their lands to Srila Prabhupada. But then, he will only accept the land if there is no strings attached. He will accept the land if no condition. You want to give the land, then everything transfer into ISKCON's name? Huh? Because sometimes they will give land and they will only use us so that they'll be able to maintain their land. Hmm? Yes. What else is needed? Capital. Definitely capital. Money is needed in order to start or maintain. Starting a temple or a project is not as difficult as maintaining a project or a temple. It's like even in the universe, creation was done by Lord Brahma, and maintaining is being done by Lord Vishnu. To maintain is more difficult. So to maintain a temple or a project or a center, you need money. So others can contribute in that way. Organization. In some of our projects, we also include others who live outside. That means those personalities who are expert in business. They can use their intelligence. They can give their input. But they're devotees also. They may not be full-time devotees, but they are good sympathizers. Because they are expert in their field, so whatever they can contribute to make our projects or our center successful, their input is most welcome. We have many of those. And labor especially. Some of them who are busy working 9 to 5 or have a full-time job 5 days in a week. And whenever they have time, they can come and contribute also their time and energy. So, in this way, it is very important that one should work only for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. If one practice this, then ultimately he will come to the perfectional stage. I'm just going to read you something about devotional service from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Is working for Krishna devotional service? Then reply by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. A devotee has no engagement other than to work for Krishna. Whatever the pure devotee do for the Lord's pleasure is devotional service. A person is subject to enjoy the fruits of his work if he considers himself the doer. Therefore, there is a gulf of difference between karma and bhakti. Again, a devotee, he knows that he is an instrument, and whatever he performs, he knew that Krishna is the ultimate controller and will only be meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Unlike a non-devotee, a materialist, he works and he thinks that the fruits of his activities is due to his endeavor, due to his expertise. He's not knowing that every skills, intelligence, knowledge that he has actually came from the Supreme Lord. He does not acknowledge that, yes, I should give back whatever is given to me. Whatever I can give back to the Supreme Lord, let me try. An example of this is just like when you've seen this also, people who take bath in Ganga, they put back palmfuls of Ganga, they offer back to Ganga, knowingly that actually Ganga is Mother Ganga, and she provides us this purification that if one takes bath in this water of Ganga, So if one somehow acknowledges that whatever is being provided to him is coming from the Supreme Lord, and he offers back to the Supreme Lord. Patram puspam palam doyam yome bhakya parachati. If one offers me a leaf, fruit, flower, or some water, I will accept it with love and devotion. If one offers with love and devotion. And even a leaf, that leaf actually is tulsi. So Prabhupada gave a reference also in this verse about 11, text 11 of 55th verse of chapter 11, which according to that verse, it is the essence of Bhagavad-Gita. Well, the conclusion of the Bhagavad-Gita is Sarva Dharmam Parityajya, right? Sarva Dharmam Parityajya mam ekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasami masuchaha. But Prabhupada says here that this is the essence of Bhagavad-Gita. What do you mean by essence? Somebody can tell us? Essence like the cream? No. Yeah, preach it. Is like the most important? Huh? Yeah. It's the main verse. But then again, there is another verse which is like more important, or that's been twice mentioned in the Bhagavad-Gita. That manmana bhavamad. Why is it mentioned twice? But Prabhupada says this is the essence. Let's see what is this verse says in translation. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. You see, the Bhagavad-Gita is directly meant for the conditioned souls. The purpose of the human form of life is to ultimately attain the goal, which is to go back home, back to Godhead. And the Bhagavad-Gita was spoken by the Supreme Lord so that gradually, step by step, understanding His nature, understanding the nature of the Supreme Lord, and what needs to be done. Because not immediately one can surrender unto the Supreme Lord. It is not possible. Unless one has performed some kind of devotional service from his previous life. But for those who have been like us, who's been here for so many lifetimes, it's like Prabhupada says, I gave you the fortune why you are here in Krishna consciousness. There's no such thing that it is because of our endeavor, that's why we are here. I gave you the fortune why you are here. But some says also that because Krishna consciousness is a continuation from one's previous life, that one takes up again to this process. One took birth in a family of devotees, or in a family of brahmanas, or in a family of aristocrats. That means wealthy people. Usually those who are wealthy if they don't use their wealth for Krishna's service, then they become more and more entangled And sometimes those who are wealthy people or who came from wealthy family, they knew that wealth is not all in all. It is not the goal of life to have such a big or increase one's bank account more and more and more. So, for many of us, we didn't have any background whereby we can tell that due to our previous lifetimes that contributed for us to come to Krishna consciousness. Some may, yes, those who did not make it or perfect their lives previously. It's like if you go to an astrologer, which, like, sometimes devotees, they go to astrologers, right? They want to find out their future, or they want to find out what were they before this lifetime, or what's going to happen to them in this lifetime. Well, if you go to a devotee astrologer, then maybe you'll get an accurate reading. But if you go to professional astrologers, they will just tell you what you want to hear. So, but sometimes some of these astrologers, genuine astrologers, will tell you that, oh yes, you were a devotee before, but somehow you were not able to finish it. Some kind of like something happened along the way. So now you're given a chance again to continue and hopefully be able to end your journey. That this is your last one. Yes, there's a saying, we are the architect of our future, and we are also the destructor of our future. So it depends on us. And if we follow the teachings of the Bhagavad-Gita, let Bhagavad-Gita be the guide of our life, then ultimately we'll end up going back home, back to Godhead. Let Krishna, who is a supreme controller, guide us, be our guide, instead of our mind, which cannot be trusted at the moment. Even the most sinful person, if he follows the teachings of the Bhagavad-Gita, understand Krishna Tattva, understand Jiva Tattva, understand this Kala, time, understand what is karma, understand what is the nature of this world, then ultimately one will come to the conclusion that yes, like Arjuna. What happened to Arjuna? Ultimately, he followed the instructions coming from the Supreme Lord. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about from Bhaktisiddhanta. What is devotional service? Devotional service means trying to please the Lord. It is meant to give Krishna happiness, not to give happiness to ourselves. Devotional service is the soul's eternal constitutional propensity, the living entity's natural characteristic. The soul has no other constitutional duty than to offer service to the Lord. Temporary material propensities are not the original characteristic of the spirit soul, but only the characteristic of the materially conditional living entity. Material propensities are changeable because they are temporary, but devotional service destroys lamentation, illusion, and fear, all of which come from absorption in matter. Absorption in anything other than Krishna and his devotees is called material absorption. Devotional service is absolute and is meant only for the Lord's pleasure. Practicing devotional service helps us develop Krishna consciousness. So devotional service is not a function of the body, the mind, the intelligence, all of these different material elements that comprise our form right now, material form. But it is a function of the soul. When we try to serve the Supreme Lord, it is the soul who wanted to please Krishna. When one performs bhakti or trying to perform bhakti, ultimately it is due to the soul's desire to please God. As soon as we think for our own benefit, that means we calculate things. And this is the function of a materialist. The materialist always function in such a way that what's in it for me? What percentage do I get from this transaction? Is that right? They always think of numbers for themselves. What will I get from this? What is the result? A devotee, he doesn't think like anything like this. He doesn't think that, oh, shall I get benefited from this? He just follow what the Shastra says, what the Guru says, and what the Sadhu says. Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So when one performs devotional service, he does not think, shall I get any result from this? It's like when Lord Krishna told Arjuna, you just have to fight. Don't worry. What will be the result? Actually, they already been killed by me. You just have to follow my instruction. So similarly, everything actually is already arranged by the Supreme Lord. We just have to follow the instruction from the spiritual master in order to please Krishna. Yeah, some people, they don't know what to do in their life. And that is unfortunate. But devotees, they know what to do. They have to follow Guru. Whatever the Guru says, you do it. Or representatives of the spiritual master. If the Guru says, you stay here, you stay there. Don't think of otherwise, I think I'll be better if I stay, to the place that I wanted to be. Some devotees are like this. They go temple hopping. They go to different temples because they try to figure out the best place for them. And they don't follow the Guru's order. In order to develop one's love towards Krishna, we have to somehow or other try our very best to follow the Guru's order. So the relationship between the living entities and Lord Krishna is eternal. And that can only be revived by devotional service. So this chapter is I think this is the shortest chapter in the Bhagavad-Gita. Right? Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. How many verses here? Only 20. So fast, so quick, you'll finish this chapter. But it's very deep. Sometimes also we've heard regarding work, devotees will say like this, I'm working for Krishna. But they only give not even 10% to Krishna of their income. How can you work for Krishna? 10% for Krishna and 90% for me. At least one should give 50%, because this is the formula. Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Instruction, 50%. That's not even 100%. Okay. But for those who are ashramites, those who are living in the ashram, they give everything. Supposed to be 100% to Krishna. But for the grihastas, there is a formula for you: 50%, 25% for your family members, and 25% for you just in case of emergency. So in this way, one gradually develops his loving propensity towards the Supreme Lord. So it's like a step by step. If you cannot do this, do this. If you cannot do this, do this. If you cannot do this, do this. So no one can say, I cannot do it. No one can say, oh, this is very difficult. It's like there is this, Prabhupada gave this story about Lord Zetland in UK, in England. So one of his godbrothers came there, and he asked, can you make me a brahmana? Can you make me a brahmana? What shall I do to be a brahmana? And the godbrother of Srila Prabhupada says, well, there is no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating. Then we can make you a brahmana. Really? Well, I cannot do those things. Forget it. I don't want to do it anymore. So, but for us, we don't immediately tell people, oh, you should follow all of this. At least we tell them to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Because by doing so, one's existence becomes purified, and ultimately they will start following first 1, 2, 3, then 4. Then they will look for a guru. And then sometimes they will even give. They will come to the temple. They will give their time. They'll give their energy. And then gradually they will take up the initiation. So it's a step-by-step process. Once again, the translation. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. We stop here. Any questions or comments? Yes, is there a microphone there?
Giving example now that Prabhupada is said from Bombay, people go for work 2 hours and go in the train with so much crowd.
Yeah, I've seen a video. They on top of the train.
So I have a short story once.
Short story. Okay.
So there were 2 persons coming from Bihar. They sit in the same train.
Yeah.
And they work in the same Times of India company.
Okay.
Yeah.
TOI.
Yeah. So they are working, they are doing printing job and everything. So the one person when he goes with him, he is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Hare.
So 2 words he goes, he chants, and when he comes back, 2 words he chants Hare Krishna. The other person is not interested. He
Yeah.
said, what will be this? I'm happy. And whatever the paycheck comes, he gives to Krishna. He will have a small meeting in his house and offer his paycheck to Krishna. And whatever 100% he gives to him, and whatever the prasadam and whatever maintenance he requires, he said that this is my small temple, I'm giving everything myself to Krishna, and Krishna is maintaining everything. So this is the short story lecture. How the devotees and the brahmanes, we are working in the same place, but one is interested in Krishna and another is not interested. But whatever the other person getting serving, he is enjoying, thinking, and other
Yeah, that's true. It's unfortunate because, see, this is the problem when you don't have a spiritual master. What you're thinking, you think it is correct because it cannot be. We cannot concoct, we cannot speculate the way how we wanted to please Krishna. Because Krishna clearly explained how it can be done, or it should be done. If we do it according to our own, we will not reach to the desired goal. So that's true. He has a temple, so let me give everything to the temple, my own temple. Some people also, they have temple at home. They're rich though. They have a separate place for their own deities, but then they will hire pujaris to do the puja, thinking that, well, my deities are being served. I have money, so I can pay somebody to do it, and I'll get the same result. You may get a little bit, but the pujari who's doing, but then the pujari must be also pure in his heart, then he gets more benefit. So yes, we cannot do like that. It's not possible. You've seen that? Rich people, they have separate temple. And they're instead of them cooking, they have servants also who will cook the offerings, who will do all of these things.
In Bombay we have Kochli jewelers. So he took me to his house, he had very nice Radha-Krishna beauty, and he said he wanted to make dress for me. So I sent my Abdul and he made a dress for me. And I'm going to find this is 6% more. Then Abdul said, I don't have time. Okay, you don't have time, I will the paper, I will the paper and fix. And suddenly there was cooking and offerings and go to this one. Oh, I have very nice beauty in my house and I have some people who are really. Also in the basement of my shop, I have Sitaram, the Shubham, and the Pula is reciting Ramayana
Right.
and doing Seva to the I am sitting in my chair and doing that. Everything is going on.
It's more of a karma kanda. It's karma kanda, even though they think it is bhakti. I know some devotees, they do directly. They're rich people. I just came to visit one devotee. He has a big factory. And he says, Maharaj, everything is for Krishna. Everything is for Krishna. Which is true, I can see, because he lives far away from here. He lives in overseas. And he always gives donation, whatever we need from here. He gives big donation. His daughter also, he just somehow just wanted to stay here in Vrindavan. And what can he do? Okay, you go stay. Yes, whatever we receive from the Supreme Lord, we should somehow try to reciprocate by giving it back. Because, well, whatever we need will be sufficient for us to maintain our body and soul together. It should be like that. I'm sorry, this is not a criticism. Many people became rich in Vrindavan because of devotees. But they don't reciprocate, they don't give even like 1% of whatever accumulated profit that they got because of the devotees. They became like millionaires because of devotees. But they will not give even or even 0.5 of a percent. So, maybe they're rich right now, but then next life, who knows what's gonna happen? Because you cannot carry them. Whatever you have, the only thing you carry is your karma, right? Anyway, that's their choice. But even for those simple devotees, whatever they can give to Lord Krishna, and Krishna, as we mentioned earlier, Krishna sees this. All right, we stop here.
Very much.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Working for Krishna ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.